On Monday, September 24th, 2018, and the Carroll City Council meeting is now in session. Will everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please note everyone is in attendance. And the first item is recognition of Scott Parcher for retirement on as a park superintendent.
He is not here.
Scott not here.
He is not here.
Jack, you want to stand in?
I can just make, let everyone know. He started April 22nd, 1980. Been with us 38 years. Been park superintendent that entire time. He's done a wonderful job for us. You'll see him Saturday, Sunday mornings downtown at any of the parks. He works a lot, 7 days a week. Gonna be some big shoes to fill. So
That's probably what he's still doing is working right now. Right?
Yeah.
So. Anyway, well, we got a plaque for him, so.
Okay, I'll make sure he gets that.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
The next item is the consent agenda, which is approval of the minutes of the September 10th and September 12th meetings, approval of bills and claims, and we have no licenses and permits tonight. We have a West Central Iowa Rural Water Association request to provide water service within the 2-mile limit, and a resolution for the Carroll County Federal Recreational Trails grant application for Sauk Rail Trail repaving.
Move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. If there's no discussion, we'll go ahead and vote.
Seaman?
Yes.
Haley?
Yes.
Dirks?
Yes.
Fleischner?
Yes.
Cox?
Yes.
Base?
Yes.
Motion is approved.
Thank you. Are there any oral requests and communications from the audience this evening?
I've got one, but I can wait till after they're done, or whatever your preference is.
I think we're the responsible for jail location presentation. Adam? Please state your name and...
Sure.
Thank you.
Adam Schweers, and I'm here along with some citizens from Carroll. We formed a committee for a responsible jail location, and I wanted to talk to you a little bit tonight about why we've formed this committee and why we feel it's important for the City Council to be participating in this discussion as it moves towards a bond vote on November 6th. The key to this committee is location. There's a lot of different reasons in which people go out and vote. Some people are motivated to vote because they maybe just don't like something. Sometimes people are motivated in terms of that dislike due to cost, or because they feel as though they have something else that they could provide for input that wasn't recognized. And many times people are not excited about a situation because of location. Carroll has a long history of having many discussions about the locations of our projects, and we've done so for many years in some cases. Certainly, many of you have participated in the discussion over the library, which had a lot to do with location before finally landing on where we're located now. Some of you might remember the Aquatic Center and where that was to be located, and the firehouse and where that was to be located. We now have a vote coming up that the county is proposing for a new jail. Our committee is not at all against a new jail. In fact, rather, we support them in the research that they've done and the need for a new jail, and we understand that eventually the state is going to make us upgrade that jail. So I'm sure it'll be another one of those times. It's an unfunded mandate that the state is not going to pay for, and we can certainly plan on putting on the backs of our citizens, and we understand that. The reason in which we're here tonight is that we want to make sure that the City of Carroll and that the Carroll City Council has voiced their opinion on the matter. Each of you represents a ward within the city or at large, and as citizens of Carroll, we don't want to see a new 3-story jail built in the downtown. We're very passionate about this. As a business owner, located on Main Street for many years, now on Court Street, right on the other side of the square, I'm very concerned about a 3-story building being built there. The city of Carroll has invested well over $10 million in streetscape and public improvements, public tax dollars over the years to broaden our tax base, to secure our tax base for the future, and to make sure that we have economic development, small business development, and people coming to us as a regional hub. Not only that, we recently passed, as citizens, a bond for $4 million to expand our library at the existing site and in order to move our city hall. And by building a 3-story building to the west of the courthouse, we will be dwarfing that project. We'll be breaking up some of the view as you look down 5th Street from our Depot Business Center. And as you look at future expansion, where we've already seen the brewery and biokinemetrics and Curbs' redo of their facade, we've got new business owners at Brothers on Main that we're trying to attract foot traffic, and we've got other residential redevelopment that's going to occur that's going to drive people to the downtown. We just don't feel that a jail that's 3 stories large, 2,000 square feet larger than the current courthouse, is what's in the best interest of Carroll citizens. So I'm here tonight to bring this to your attention. We're here to specifically ask you for your opinions, your comments, and potentially for your position as elected officials moving forward. There is an absentee vote that will be released in October, here, October 6th, and the bond vote will be November 6th. And from our perspective, we feel that the citizens need to have a say, and we do believe that this is important for the downtown. As somebody who sits on Main Street, I get to watch the children walk down from the daycare center and come into the library. There's a lot of people who travel right down Main Street. This facility, while I understand the county controls the parking, that facility's parking is something that our movie theater uses, and we've got potential movie theater expansion occurring here in 2019 and 2020 that I believe will be put in jeopardy by building this. Now, there may not be a whole lot of numbers to be able to support whether this is or is not in good conscience with economic development or downtown redevelopment, but I'm sure if we do a little bit of studying, we might be able to find that. I also know that it's a perception issue, and it always is. And perception is people's reality, and we understand that. So as you go forward, we do have some information here. This is the city of Carroll. Because this affects you as a community more than it affects any other cities, of course, and us as citizens who live in Carroll, there is a way in which you can pass a resolution, or you can make particular public comments, however you as citizen representatives would like to do it. We just want to know that the city of Carroll recognizes this as a bad location and that you are not in support of it, and we would ask for any of your additional comments in the future. And I also want to go on record to say that we 100% support the sheriff. We support our officials that are charged with our safety. We recognize that they have a number of things that they have taken into consideration, and we are not here to tell them how to do their job. We just specifically want to be taken seriously as we look at downtown redevelopment and as we look at our community and the way it looks as a whole moving into the future. With that, I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Adam. Jim. Give us your name and I'll give you a couple minutes here.
Sure, thank you very much. My name is Jeff Kaler. I live at 1326 Amy Avenue. Before the meeting tonight, I took the liberty of handing out a brief letter and kind of a framework of a possible ordinance that I'd like the council to consider at their next meeting. As much as I hate to say it even, it's going to start snowing in the next couple of months, and hopefully I'm wrong, and I'll go on record now saying that that could happen. I'm aware that the council had some discussion in April of 2016 about allowing ATVs and UTVs to operate on city streets. And if I recall correctly, and I did watch the video of that council meeting, that particular ordinance was, or at least the discussion of it, was to allow them to be used basically anywhere except on the state highways. Now that I'm retired, I kind of mow and plow half my neighborhood. And although the police, the history basically is that whether you're a professional snow mover or you're somebody like me that just helps their neighbors out, they're allowing these people to go up and down the streets on their tractors and their four-wheelers and their UTVs and such, as long as they're not causing problems or doing things that, you know, draw attention to themselves. But the simple fact is it's not legal. Likewise, this Friday there's going to be a homecoming parade, and any ATVs or UTVs on the city streets at that time are also illegal.
Is it illegal, like if they're involved in a parade or something along that line, it still is illegal?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So far, I'm going to fix that for
Yeah.
you. But anyway, so as you're well aware, I'm kind of OCG, obsessive compulsive gift, and I spent a great deal of time researching this. I received copies of ordinances from 9 cities, Boone County, Carroll County, and then the city of Carroll. With the exception of Carroll and one other city, all the other cities allow them anywhere for any reason except on state highways. They all expressed concerns similar to what you guys talked about back in 2016, but they said after it went into effect, it really was a non-issue. I'm not attempting to open that can of worms. Essentially, what I'm trying to do is have an ordinance in place for specific purposes, and I've got several listed, and this is just a framework that if the city attorney or the police chief or hopefully any of you that have thoughts about other things you'd like to see in there, you're certainly welcome. I put kind of a broad one in there that the police chief can authorize for special events, so I think that gives mostly what you need. But my thought basically was that we've been allowing this as long as I can remember, and so far we haven't had any problems, but technically it's not legal. By introducing and passing an ordinance, the council now has the ability to impose specific restrictions, including you have to be a licensed driver, you have to have proof of insurance, you have to have it registered through the recorder's office as is required. One thing I think I'm going to add, and I'll talk to the chief about this down the road, but technically these vehicles have to obey all the traffic laws anyway, but I noticed some of the other ordinances, they specifically state you have to obey all traffic ordinances. Some of the things I didn't put in there, some cities have a city registration where they have the police make sure that they have headlight and a tail light and those things. In talking to the chief, he wasn't overly interested in doing an inspection if they were licensed through the state. That appeared to be okay. But anyway, my only purpose tonight is to give you this rough draft and this letter and kind of introduce the subject. In the next couple of weeks, I'll work with the chief and try to refine it. And I would strongly encourage any of you that have thoughts about something that you would like to see or something that you'd like to see taken out, let me know ahead of time, because I'm not trying to create a problem for you guys. Matter of fact, I'm hoping to clean up some issues I think might exist already. So I'll come back to the next meeting on October 8th and hopefully have something more refined for you to take a look at that point, and hopefully any publicity that happens between now and then, other people that are in favor or against would have an opportunity then to contact each of you. So thank you very much for your time.
Jeff,
Yes?
could you get us a list of those 9 cities so we can do some research?
Absolutely.
You can email it to us.
I will. And most of them are relatively similar in size. Algona, Clear Lake, Boone, Denison, Esterville, Sheldon, Waverly are some of them, but I'll email all that to you.
Okay.
Sioux Falls,
Jeff,
South
real
Dakota.
quick,
Yeah.
are you saying that what you are proposing is comparable to these 9 other cities?
Sort
Or-
of. I took Waverly's because they're the ones that have the restrictions,
Okay.
and that's what I've proposed. that
You're
they-
narrowing,
they're
but the
only
others
gonna
are
be-
broader. a little
With the
bit.
exception of Waverly, and one of the cities only allows UTVs, not ATVs.
Okay.
And the difference, ATV is the one you straddle, and
Yep,
UTV is the one
okay.
that's side by side, so.
Okay.
But I took some of the safety provisions out of those, but I took the restrictions that Waverly has in place
Okay.
to narrow the focus.
And they've been enforced long enough for them to have a track
Yeah.
record regarding
I
safety?
just got a message from Lamar's right before the meeting, and he said he was very concerned about it, and he said they've had zero problems. I think it was Knoxville said when they first introduced the ordinance, some of the people that typically were out causing problems continued doing that, and they had to cite some people, but then they said after the initial month or two, everything was good,
Okay.
so.
Well, thank you.
No problem, and thank you for taking the time to listen.
I got one more question.
Yeah,
Jeff. You've already spoken with the police force here about this?
I talked to him before I did the thing, 'cause I told
Okay.
him it was not my intent to step on his toes, and I...
Well, it's just my memory is that they were the ones that didn't want this
Well,
at that time, so is
I
that...
think in the form that it was presented in 16, that's true, and in the meeting that I watched, that's exactly what the chief had said. My perception from my discussions with him, he recognizes what I'm trying to do here, the
Okay.
value of, I think it protects the city, and you'd have to ask Dave, but right now, if you're turning a blind eye and allowing people to do it, even though it's illegal, and somebody has an accident, I suspect they could come back and say, you're knowingly allowing this to happen. Whereas now, if we put an ordinance in place, you're saying, yeah, we'll let you do it, but only under these very specific circumstances. So you transfer the responsibility to the driver and the owner of the vehicle to make sure that they're doing things according to the restrictions that the council wants in place, so,
Doesn't Dennison allow it?
yes. And I have theirs too. And if anybody's interested, I'd be happy to email you their ordinances as well, if you want to see them.
Sioux Falls, South Dakota does too.
Yeah,
You can
there
do
were
it
some
in
very,
Sioux
that's a very
Falls.
large city.
Yes.
And I didn't intentionally try to get cities our size, that just happened to be the people who responded. And there's a couple of small ones like Mobile, and I know those were the smallest, that was the smallest one, but, you know,
Yeah,
Waverly.
right on
Boone.
Highway 20 there.
And I went to Boone last Monday, actually, and talked to them. They worked with their county and have an ordinance, and they actually have a little license plate they put on the back. And they can ride it in the county, into the city, and so forth, except during the week of the super national stock car races, so.
Okay.
All right, thank you
Thanks,
very
Jeff.
much.
Thank you.
If there are no other requests, first item is ordinances and Carroll Park Apartments Urban Renewal Plan and the development agreement. And Mike, please.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. The developer of the Carroll Park Apartments project, Kenyon Hills Ridge LLC, has requested the city postpone action on the development agreement to October 8th. Specifically, the developers requested time to make modifications to Section 3.2 of the agreement related to when the development needs to be fully developed out. Staff will republish notice of the new hearing date, so our recommendation is to postpone consideration of the third reading and final adoption of the ordinance, and to postpone the public hearing and consideration of resolution adopting the development hearing to October 8th. Be happy to answer any questions the council has.
Need a motion to table it to October 8th?
Yes.
Yes.
I move to table it till October 8th.
May I ask a quick question? I didn't jump in fast
Yeah.
enough. Sorry. Section 3.2 that you allude to is for the infrastructure, but it also plays off of other sections in the agreement. And you said the whole, everything, the residences as well. Okay. So they will be bringing back revisions of more than Section 3.2, because it does allude back to...
There very well could be other modifications, but
Okay.
that is the main one they've cited to
Okay,
us.
okay.
And 3.2 talks about the minimum
Right.
infrastructure and the minimum improvements that
Right.
then go back to Exhibit B.
Right,
in the
I
agreement.
did. That's
Yeah.
what I was referring to. Thanks, that's all I need.
Just so we get it back in time, so we all have a chance to review it. I don't-
Yeah, it'll definitely be in the...
Well, I was going to say, it's
Saturday
good.
night or Sunday night. you know.
It pertains to more
Yeah.
than Section 3.2, so make sure, we
get
need
it
to all
back.
make sure
Yeah.
we have our ducks in a row.
And we'll bullet point everything that
Will
gets
you?
changed.
Okay,
yeah.
thank you very much. I'm sorry. I
No,
interrupted
that's
you.
perfect. That's what we have this set up for.
We have a motion, I need a second.
So moved.
A motion and a second. If there's no further discussion, we'll go ahead and vote.
Dirks?
Yes.
Seaman?
Yes.
Cox?
Yes.
Haley?
Yes.
Fleischner?
Yes.
Base?
Yes.
Motion is approved.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is resolutions, and it's the Carroll Trail Phase 2 design, segments A and B 2018, and Jack.
Thank you, Mayor. Excuse me. We did Phase 1, if you recall, last year on East 18th Street, by the bus barn, the church up to Veterans Park, and then ended there. Phase 2, segments A and B are together, would be taking the trail across the street, going up the east side of the golf course, up to East 30th Street, and ending there. The other plan, and this is one that's kind of come up, I know we've had discussions the last several years since I've been here, 13 years, of the trail plan. This really wasn't identified, but recently I've had people show interest and talk about having some kind of loop around the baseball fields and soccer fields. We have the existing loop on the south side of the baseball and softball, softball fields and the soccer field. I have mentioned this to the school. Both projects does involve their property. They are aware of both of them. Do not have any issues at this point with allowing us to build the trails on really both of their properties. And this is just to design both of them. We would get a little bit of a discount if we design both of them at the same time. We do have the funds to design both, but really I see this as the next two steps in our trails project. This would get people from the east part of town, the new developments, out by the baseball fields. It incorporates two schools, the high school and the middle school. So I really see these as two good projects, and this is just to start the design of those.
Jack, on the photo that you have of the ball field trail and the red trail that's closest to the middle school, is that on city property or is that still is that school property? Cuts right between the...
On the, which one are you?
On the ball field trail photo you got?
The ball field, yes, that is school.
On the east.
The east side is school. They have the soccer fields.
Or
Yes.
east side of the fields there, but I guess just directly right west of the school.
Yes.
Yeah, they own the
Okay.
soccer.
They own
They
that.
own the soccer fields? Okay.
Yep. So, this originally started with Rob Cordes, a discussion with him, and
Yeah.
I proceeded to talk to Dr. Lee.
Okay. And then
See-
they don't have a problem with that?
No,
And then about where that drainage pipe is that kind of where the property then becomes the city property and back over again?
no. It's all, ours is a baseball field. Yeah, I'm sorry, up on the north
Up
part,
on the
that little
north part
blue
of it,
line,
yeah.
yes.
Okay.
That does get the city property.
Yeah, I
If
just
you look
wondered.
out there today, the school planted in a set of trees
Right,
on their property.
Okay.
Have a windbreak, but yes.
okay.
So 2/3 of it would be on city and 1/3 of school.
Is this going to qualify for safe routes to schools grants?
The other one would, yes. The loop, no.
Okay.
But the other one, yes. Both. My hopes would be we would design these this fall, spring, into the spring, apply for grants. We don't have probably enough money, enough funds to do both of them at the same time, but if we do have the grants, those funds would help hopefully maybe achieve it. It's not saying we do both of them at the same time, but there's a possibility to have, the funds to do both.
Why on the one on Grant Road, there's a jog into the golf course?
Up over that berm.
Get it up on the berm.
You want to go on top of that?
Yeah.
I mean, stay out of flood zone.
Otherwise what?
Flood.
Stay out of flood zone.
No, flood zone, all right.
That's where all that water piles
Yeah.
up right there.
I mean,
It's,
everybody
you
goes
do-
there now, but
Well, it floods over there by just
gonna be wider.
north of Fairview, so that, it floods over that now too, but that can really stay flooded for a long time. There's a lot of water there.
Yes.
And I think that's the natural path of the way that water runs.
So,
Hey Jack, on the portion that's on school property, I'm assuming we still maintain responsibility for maintenance and upkeep and such, right?
Once the trails develop, yes. Yep, similar to what we're doing now.
We have to get it.
I would anticipate similar to what we're doing this winter, like we did last winter, removing the snow up to the schools. The loop, no. We would not remove snow around the loop. The loop, the soccer season, baseball season, that's going to get a lot of use. People want specific, you're right about a mile loop. It's a little bit under a mile, but you see these in other communities around the baseball, soccer fields, parks, they have loops. We're going to have a similar one in just Northeast Park when we develop that plan down the road. But this one...
How much under a mile?
What's that?
How much under a mile?
I think it was 0.8.
So it's quite a bit less.
Depending on where it sits in the park too. And
Well, that's why I was just thinking, if it's close enough, it should be nice to make it good for walkers that know, that we know it's an exact mile.
You know, I don't have this number because I didn't think it was that crucial, but the way it ends up there, when you come back and connect it to the loop, I bet you're right at a mile. So, before our discussions was bringing it closer to the parking lot and down that side, but you're going to be real close, and I can figure that. Absolutely.
Any other questions for Jack? If not, I'll look for a motion to approve the professional services agreement for the Carroll Trail Phase 2 design segments A and B for the estimated contract price of $89,000.
So moved.
second.
Have a motion and a second. If there's no other discussion, we'll go ahead and vote.
Fletcher?
Yes.
Cox?
Yes.
Dirk?
Yes.
Bates? Yes. Seelig?
Yes.
Haley?
Yes.
Motion is approved.
Thank you.
Thank you. The second resolution is the change city council meetings, October 2018 through August 2019. And Mike?
I can do it. As you know, we are moving the construction project here at the
Oh, I guess it was Laura.
current
Okay.
Farmer Government Building is going to require us to find a different location. And we've had some discussions with the school district about using their boardroom. They've agreed to it. There are a few exceptions, and there's an attached calendar that shows all of the proposed meeting dates. The ones in yellow would be our regular meeting times. The ones in orange would be exceptions. Now, two of those are exceptions because of holidays already, one the Christmas and the other one being Memorial Day of next year. So we're asking for resolutions by city code. We set our meeting locations by resolution approving these meeting changes. I would note one exception. The asbestos work in this building isn't going to begin now until after October 8th. And because of the meeting and the audience we expect, we would propose to still hold the October 8th meeting in this location. And Laura actually has a revised calendar that she's passing out now, reflecting that change. So we'd ask that the resolution exhibit change to what's being passed out to reflect that we will start meeting at the school board room on October 22nd. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
HVAC, is that going to be affected at all by this?
Not for the October 8th meeting. After that, it would be.
We could postpone the pictures till then?
I was going to say, I wore this suit for...
No, we're doing the pictures tonight.
Okay. All right.
So at the school, the entrance to the meetings will be west side, Adams?
The east side, nearest the flagpole. And then you'll walk through the hallway to the boardroom on the west side of the building.
Parking's on the west side.
No, your direction turn. The
Okay.
parking on the west side of the building.
You're right, I'm sorry, you're right.
Okay.
West
That's where
side.
the flagpole is on the
Yep,
west
I
side.
apologize.
Right.
Yep,
Right.
west side.
So this is correct.
Yes,
Okay.
this is correct.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, sorry, don't ask me tough questions.
Looks good to me. Sure.
All right.
So you want to call this one like Exhibit B? Since we had Exhibit A.
No, this is the new Exhibit A.
This is the
Yeah,
new
we'll
exhibit.
attach it to,
Okay.
if this is what gets approved, we'll attach it to the resolution. This will become a permanent document.
Okay. There isn't any other discussion. I'll need a motion to approve the attached resolution with the new Exhibit A for the regular city council meeting dates October 2018 through August 2019 at the Carroll Community School District Board room beginning at 5:15 PM.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. If there's no other discussion, we'll go ahead and vote.
Bates? Yes. Haley?
Yes.
Dirk?
Yes.
Seaman?
Yes.
Fleischner?
Yes.
Cox?
Yes.
Motion is approved.
Thank you. And the next option is the reports. And our first report this evening is discussion on creation of an urban revitalization area to provide tax abatement. And Mike.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. The council's been having discussions over the last few meetings about the creation of an urban revitalization district, really for the purpose of providing tax abatement. This really stems out of a discussion about the redevelopment of the Morrison Apartments, where the developer is seeking a 10-year, 100% tax abatement for the work they're looking to do to that building. At your August 27th meeting, council requested staff to identify an area that could be used in urban revitalization district. We provided, and we kind of looked at two different maps. First was the Carroll Housing Condition Windshield Study, and kind of looked at the areas that were identified as fair and poor in that study. And then additionally, we had a map provided by Don Canning that identified kind of an area that he felt the city should consider for an urban revitalization district. Really looking at those two maps, we presented on September 10th a possible district for the council to consider. And at your last meeting, you wanted to take some time to kind of drive the area and consider that possible district. One other question, just kind of specify, there was a discussion or an item raised about what is the minimum level of improvement that needs to be made to a property before tax abatement can be provided. The code provides that two different thresholds for commercial, a minimum of so it's at least 15% generally, except residential, which is 10%. Though that's the default by city code. We can do less, but the warning is if you do less, it becomes a nightmare for the county assessor to really administer that. So most communities set that threshold of what's listed in state code. So that's what the thresholds are. The abatement schedule is the same as we discussed last time. So I guess I'm looking for some discussion on the possible district, if there's questions or what the observations were driving around looking at that. I'd be happy to answer any questions the council has.
I know when I did go drive around, I took that time, and I almost felt like some of the houses between 13th and 18th in that area, even like around St. Lawrence, like Northwest Street, and maybe just a little bit to the east of St. Lawrence probably could have maybe been included in part of some of that. All of a sudden you get to 17th, 18th Street, you see a definite differentiation between the types and style of houses and the size of the houses that I think if we didn't get some of those just north of 13th Street, maybe to 17th Street, there's some houses I think that could benefit a little bit more.
I ran into the same thing. You can drive and all of a sudden you're on this street, to your left is abatement, to the right isn't. Well,
Right.
all of a sudden, how come, we're excluding this house? And that happened all the way to 18th Street for me too. And even south of town, it seems all of a sudden there's one that'll pop up and I'm like, okay, how are you going to address that?
Right.
It doesn't matter where we cut this off, it's going to happen.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting at.
Only way to avoid that is to do the whole city, and that's not something we've discussed.
And I do think you probably want to avoid doing the whole city. I think there is some distinction you want to provide. Again, part of the question is, what's the purpose of the incentive? Is it to incentivize redevelopment, rehab of existing housing stock, or do you want to go more broad and encourage new housing stock? So, I mean, part of the question the council needs to weigh on is, what is the purpose of the revitalization? I guess we've been looking at it initially, at least, as a revitalization, rehab type tool. Certainly, if you want to take it more broad, that's fine, I guess. But that's kind of the distinguish why we selected the area we did, or kind of focused on. But certainly, I mean, if you want to take it up to 18th Street, I mean, those are policy decisions.
Discussion. Now, this is the excess value of the home, right?
So yes, there'd have to be an increase in the assessed value.
And sometimes that is more than the actual value because it's, run down or so?
Well, I mean, for example, let's say there's a vacant lot in here. I mean, any improvement of a structure is going to be an increase in value, yes.
Is there a clause we can put in there where it has to be an existing structure?
No.
Okay.
For me, it was revitalization and rehab. That was the approach that I had to this.
I only had one question. Looking under multi-residential, it says 3+ living quarters. Is there any reason why we didn't have duplexes? Am I reading that wrong?
It's state statute defines that, so
So duplexes cannot be included.
not for multifamily residential.
So are they considered anywhere else? or
They'd be
no?
considered residential.
They're just residential.
If you also had a scenario where you had 3 units, but it didn't comprise of at least 75% of the building, so you had commercial that was 50% and residential on the second floor 50%, that even though if you had 3 units on there, that would not qualify as multifamily residential.
I think extending it farther north, as you mentioned, is smart. I think the houses in that area are getting older. They're well-kept, but they still have a lot of potential, and they're nice family homes. I wouldn't object
Are you talking?
going
straight to
north
18?
to 18th and coming down. I can't,
Like the Main Street or...
down to, yeah, they're Main. I see it, it's right.
Like North Main
the
Street
A
there.
and potential there. Yeah, just kind of, that's kind of a small rectangular area in there. But I think that's a,
Because when you go into that area north of 13th Street or in around St. Lawrence, there's a lot of nice...
they're
some of
nice
them really
family
brick
homes. Yes.
Yeah, and they're just, look like they could use just a little rehab, or maybe an additional room on it or something.
And there'd be, yeah, uniformity in that neighborhood if we could generate that
'Cause that's,
activity.
that, I think, is some of the older part of Carroll.
Oh, yeah, and
You know, it
it's
started
beautiful.
closer to downtown and went north. You get south into Rolling Hills, and I just remember that all being developed in '75 when we moved here, that a lot of those houses are there. You know, they're still a little newer. I suppose you could go down that far, but I'm just looking at some of those places that were probably built in 30s and 40s, 50s. I think you'd capture more of those to give them a little bit more value.
Yeah, yeah.
I was also curious on the southeast corner, if we weren't missing a small portion there going down towards the cemetery and to the
Oh, yeah, like
west of
down Walnut.
to the east of the hospital. Yeah.
And down the tree streets, yeah.
Yeah.
Vine, Walnut, Elm, yeah. Yeah, there are some
There's potential there.
potential there too, I believe.
Yeah, you could just take that curve road on the south side of the hospital.
So take Clark all the
Clark all
way
the way
to
around.
Grant.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, that's a good
encapsulate that.
idea, too.
Mhm,
Yeah,
that makes
yeah.
sense.
Saying about just on the,
That's where that tree was when we had the meeting, and you could see some of the houses
Oh,
down there.
that, yes, that's the area, okay.
Okay. That's anything.
Yeah.
I see that.
Ju-
Would that go, that's behind the hospital then? So then, the homes on this, there are homes on the south side of that street that would not
No,
be
because
affected?
that would be, that's where those wells are.
There's a few houses
There's a
along
few
there.
houses along there.
There's about 6 or 8 houses there.
Yeah, you could capture those. I think
Well, I
they're
don't know,
newer.
you need to, they're all newer homes.
They're a little
but
newer homes, yeah.
They
But
wouldn't be included, I'm just asking.
Right.
If we did that,
I mean-
those would be,
Generally, we'd like to keep it to the center line of the road. It's a lot easier to write the legal description.
okay, I see, because
Yeah.
you sit in the back line, those lots could go clear back.
Yeah. But certainly if the council wants to include those, we're happy to
Okay.
write it whatever way you want.
I like that Clark, Center Street, or center of Clark down to
Okay.
Grant myself.
So what do we do if we get this all drawn out, and all of a sudden somebody like a block away comes and says,
why didn't you include?
why didn't we include us?
Certainly that can happen. I mean, one of the things I think you have to look at and consider is what's the objection? And certainly the properties that are along the downtown core, most of those people would agree we need to do some rehab work on those. As you move further away, that becomes less and less a case.
I think the map that we're doing is fine. I'm asking the question, what would happen if that did happen?
Well, it's a policy. I mean, if the council wants to amend it, then they
Okay.
can take that opportunity to amend it.
Before we would go to final approval, there'd be a public hearing on it anyway, correct?
Yes.
So that'd be an opportunity for somebody to come forward and present their case,
Now-
modify.
Now, the danger is, if you modify the legal description, you have to start the whole process over. So it's rewriting the plan, it's rewriting the legal, it's re-notifying everyone. So we do want to try to get it right up front.
As close to being, yeah.
I know there's potential for us to miss some things, but with the 2 proposed changes, I can't see us missing very much.
No.
Not to meet our goal. If our goal
Correct.
is revitalization,
Right.
that's our rationale if people complain.
Okay.
How about media campaign or something?
So what I have is, we'll take it to 18th Street, to Main, and then down and connect back into the district. And then we'll extend Clark, take the curve to Grant, and then Grant back into the district. Okay.
No? Bird?
No, that's right.
Yeah.
So the fishbowl area and all that's not part of it?
I would bypass the fishbowl.
Those were some newer homes, you know that?
I know that, I'm just,
But you could, I guess. but
What's the fishbowl?
this area right here where it says
Pine
Carroll
Acres.
Urban.
Oh.
Marcella Heights.
Pike
Vast
and
Pine
Grass and-
Acres.
That
Yes.
street.
Yeah, those are newer homes.
Yeah. But there's also some homes on Grant Road here. Let's see, it's hard to read. Is this 12th? Yeah, there's some homes north on Grant Road on 12th. Hell, there's one right on the intersection of Grant Road and 12th in northwest corner.
Well, that's 17th, right?
No, it isn't, that's 12th. On the other side of it, it's misread.
Oh, yeah, it should be
It should be 12th
East
instead of
12th Street there,
17th.
not 17th, yeah.
So there's some homes on that Grant Road that would qualify for this.
There is, you think?
In the northwest corner of 12th and Grant Road.
Yeah.
There's a
That
few
line,
in
about
there.
three
There's a few.
houses. About
Yep.
You
three,
get
four
north
houses
up
to the
there,
north.
up to, like north to, oh, I'm missing it there.
Well, as soon as you start going up the hill, you're
Even-
fine.
Yeah, just south of Bass Street.
Well, heck, then don't we just take it 18th over to
That's what I'm
Grant
saying.
down?
Take 18th to Grant Road and go down.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think it would hurt anything.
That's not much of an adjustment.
I was waiting for you to creep a block further to the east of your place there.
So on the south side, did we take it, am I understanding correctly, down the road in front of Regency Park? Are we that far? Is that where we're at?
Regency Park would be in it.
Okay,
yeah.
that was my question. I
Yeah,
wanted
Would
to
be in
know.
it now, if we change it.
Okay, good. So I was just thinking there's no street behind them, so that's why I was trying to figure out why you said stop it in mid-street, but we're going to go to a line behind.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
When I initially drove this, I was thinking downtown, there'd be like a lot of buildings, businesses, you know, like the second and third floor we could use for apartments and stuff. There's not very many. I thought there'd be a bunch, and there's like
Yeah, no.
3.
Yeah, there's not a lot.
No, I was surprised at that.
I think that they're next to Uptown Sporting Goods, there's a store too, and they have apartments.
Yeah, but just going down
Ridge
Adams.
is small, I think that you could get some revitalization for those.
Yeah, but I just thought earlier, before you actually drive it, there would have been more than what there really was.
Yeah.
Okay.
Does that work?
So what I have again is Clark, extend down Clark to Grant through the curve, Grant back to the district, and then we'll take 18th Street, extend it east to Grant, and then Grant down into Grant.
Yeah.
Okay. So unless I hear an objection, we will begin, we'll create the legal, we'll start the plan based on that district.
So that does include the, what people call the fishbowl?
Yes.
Okay.
I think you should make one out, email it to us, like they have here tonight, so we can physically see it.
Okay.
Any other discussion with Mike?
If not, we'll move on to committee reports. I trust everyone has read those. And the monthly activity reports. I have no comments this evening. Any comments from the council? Any comments from the city manager? If not, I will need a motion to go into the closed session per Iowa Code 21.5 1C dash strategy with counsel regarding present litigation.
Dave, do we meet the legal requirements to go into closed session?
Council is so authorized, yes.
Motion to go into closed session.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. No further discussion. We'll go ahead and vote.
Seaman?
Yes.
Space?
Yes.
Dirks?
Yes.
Fleischer?
Yes.
Cox?
Yes.
Hazen?
Yes.